Surplus income is when there's an excess of income on a cash flow over the expenses line. On our cash flow here, our 2 salaries in the years before retirement can unsurprisingly easily cover their expenses, and there's a clear surplus each year. Without knowing what to do with the surplus, so CashCalc simply puts the excess into the current account, which is why many cash flows will see their current account getting bloated with excess income. Now, there is a remedy to that. If you click on the Inputs and Timeline tab and click on Assumptions, at the bottom of Assumptions, you've got surplus income to save, and the default is we're going to be saving 100% of that surplus and attributing it to the current account. But realistically, most clients and most users simply have that set to 0, because again, realistically, a client each year, although there may technically be a surplus, they will invariably end up spending that on a holiday, on a car, on a maintenance around the house and children, etc. So instead of having to play around with the expenses and net out the surplus income, if we have that set to 0, we go back to our cash flow model, it will dynamically adjust, and you can see all of that surplus income has simply just vanished. It's assuming that it's been spent. And under money in, money out, that hasn't changed. Clearly the surplus is still there. It's just simply now automatically spending it for us. And therefore the cash flow is looking a little more pessimistic than it was before. Now, the alternative approach as well, if we come back to Inputs and Timeline, is you can actually attribute some of that or all of that to another pot. So maybe our clients are looking at this cash flow thinking, well, actually, with so much surplus income, perhaps we should really be saving some of this perhaps into our pension. So what we can also do is, again, either a percentage or amount, we can select maybe 10% of this should be redirected into Keith Baker's pension. And again, rather having to play around with transfers, contributions and withdrawals, I can do that on the fly here. And again, if I click on my cash flow model, suddenly my cash flow's got a little bit more positive because we're putting 10%, getting the tax relief into that pension, and it's now growing and compounding over the years. Now, if we want to see that in detail, if you click on the yearly breakdown tab, and if you click on maybe the most recent year, you've got the money in. And if we click on liquid assets, if we scroll down to our Keith Baker pension, you can see the workplace employee and employer contributions, but now you've got an additional income surplus coming in and all of the tax calculations around that. Incidentally, if you click on the settings tab at the very top here, go into the system settings. If you scroll down to the bottom, go to cash flow modeler here. You can actually play around with the default. So if you want the default to always be 0, always be 10, always be 100, you can change that tab and assumption and default in here. Hope you found that useful. Any further questions, feel free to reach out to our help desk.